Good morning. And happy holidays to everyone. This is so nice to have this little circle on Sunday. Can you hear me okay? Better. So in 3 days, it will be Christmas and the first day of Hanukkah. And these two holidays are of different faiths, but they share a very important commonality. So the 25th of this year is a special occurrence. But how do you feel right now as the holidays approach? Do you feel joyful, tired, maybe many things? So at this time of year can also be very difficult for some people and stressful. So today my talk centers around two questions. And the first question is, what are the holidays really? And what is the common thread between them? So my family and I celebrate Christmas, and many people ask me, have you heard this? Are you ready for Christmas? So I always think that's a really funny question, because what they're really asking is, have you purchased and wrapped all your gifts yet? That's really what that question means. And it's a practical question, but it also signifies how magnified and concentrated the holidays have become. And with this question, thoughts can arise, right? That can lead to stress or feeling burdened, right? So thoughts like, it's too commercialized, or I have too much to do, or there's too much materialism. So these types of thoughts. So, but also there's a moment here. There's a moment here that there's kind of like a very quick, and what I mean by this kind of snap is that there's a moment that has a potential when we can catch our mind. So, and this potential can instantaneously give us freedom, or it can keep us locked in delusion and ignorance. So Master Sotasan, the founding master of Won Buddhism, said that the mind is so extremely subtle that it exists when you take hold of it, but disappears when you let it go. So we need to be aware, right? And catch this immediate judgment, because it's just that quick response of our mind. And the challenge of our practice is to not become imprisoned in quick discriminations, but instead pause and then inquire with an open mind. So let me share a paragraph with you from our scripture. And I invite you to just close your eyes for a moment and listen to these words that resonate beyond time and place. This is Master Sotasan's words. And he said, "Today, I will tell you the most important method of guarding the mind and protecting the body. So listen carefully and use it always as a motto for practice in all sensory conditions. The motto is, never neglect a mind of respect and awe. This means that whenever and wherever you encounter people or things, treat them always with a mind of respect and awe." So when we have a mind of respect and awe, and look at this natural expansion of the holidays, just observe, before our minds attach to judgment or discrimination, maybe we then have the opportunity to open to the truth and act with clarity and discernment. So our founding motto, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit, is simple and clean. So it says that the advancement of science and technology and materialism, that's natural. That's a natural part of being human, right? But the weakening of our spirit is optional. So this is what we are working on, the strengthening of our spirit. But however, these are two halves of the same coin. The only thing our quick judgment does is separate us from this truth. and separate us from strengthening our spirit in equal measure so we can gain freedom from suffering, to be fully human, no differentiation. So, is there more to discover about these holidays? So let me share with you a holiday shopping story. It's not holiday without one shopping story, right? So the other day, my husband and I were in Lowe's because I really wanted to get lights to put, a little bit outside the house. And, excuse me. And so we were outside, or we were inside Lowe's, and we were debating really about if we needed these lights or not. I say yes, because they're pretty. And he said no, because we got to take them down in a month, right? Okay. So we were sitting there quietly having this discussion when suddenly around the corner comes this gentleman, and he just comes and walks and he stands between us. And he's so excited, and he's got this big grin on his face. And he's looking at us, and he's staring at the lights, and he says, just one more string of lights. Every year, I have to add just one more. And my whole house is covered in lights. Just one more. And he has this infectious, exciting energy, right? It was so great. I loved it. However, it was way too much for me in that moment, too. I could not match that energy. So I kind of looked at him, and we didn't know what to say either, because we were like, okay. So we kind of look at him and we go, I was like, cool, great. And then he kind of went, yeah. And he like skip walked back into the store and like disappeared. And without missing a beat, my husband turns to me, he goes, you see what happens? First you want one string of lights, then you want another string of lights, and then you become addicted. And he's serious, right? So I look at him, and I'm a terrible wife for this kind of reason, because I just laugh at the worst times. I start laughing hysterically in the middle of the store. And I think it's funny. It was really funny. But then I was curious. What can I learn from this man? Was he just a deranged elf? Too much cocoa, maybe? Or an ordinary man who in that meeting had the ability to point us to something extraordinary? So I stood there for a moment and looked around, and it was a bit overwhelming. It was sensory overload in those stores, right? So my eyes saw every bright primary color of the rainbow, big giant plastic snowmen. And right next to me was a display of scents. And it was like wafting of pine and gingerbread and mint and everything. And then over the loudspeakers, I was hearing all the Christmas music. But when I stopped looking at, listening, smelling the things just as things, there was something else. So something beyond, like a quiet hum. And it had been there all along, and it is always there. So I just stopped and listened and wondered. So these holidays are older than everyone in this room. They are older, we know this, but if you think about it, they are older than everyone on the planet today. Excuse me. So do you ever wonder why? We created them. And why we continue to celebrate them year after year, century after century. The common answer is that we are celebrating the birth of Jesus, or for Hanukkah, religious freedom, dedication. So these holidays have historical significance and meaning. And each color, light, image, symbol also has historical significance and meaning. But what happens when we take away the stories, when we're brave enough to do that and look just for the truth? So maybe we can ask ourselves the question, why did we make a collective agreement to manifest into form this creation and place it at the end of each year? I think it's a really important question. So every year seems to come to a close. This is part of the relative aspect or changing aspect of our human lives. However, if we boldly strip away the stories and trace back the symbolism, we are left with the roots of their origin. The root is what Christmas and Hanukkah have in common. Our reminders of what is unchanging. There is one truth. If we look at them closely, both of them teach us, guide us. So they teach us to, 1, seek out loved ones and come together. 2, to spread joy, goodwill, gratitude, forgiveness, and peace throughout the world. 3, to be generous, to be charitable. And interestingly enough, because I'm used to Santa Claus, so Santa Claus we have in Christmas gives to the world, right? Give to the entire world without expecting anything in return. This is what we've created. So he also checks our moral conduct. So this is an interesting thing that we have placed. Checks if we're being good, so we understand, so we remember this cause and effect. What we give is what we receive. 4, light. A light will guide us home. The light the light of the star in the sky, the light at the top of the tree, the light of the candles, the miracle of light. And 5, there is one thing that matters more than all else. We need to believe. So this is it. So isn't it beautiful and miraculous? So we have created a system, this living scripture, that gives us the continuous reminders to believe in and to realize what? So I'm going to tell you. So the roots and origin call to us and point us home. Just like the JiYeon song, a one circle image, right? Above my head. It points us to our Buddha nature. This end of year explosion of carefully and outrageously placed reminders guides us at every step to wake up. It's not about the gifts we give, but the root of why we give. It's not about who we're with, but the root, the truth of our interconnectedness. It's not about the light we see, but the light we are, if only we believe. So on November 17th, during Venerable Jigsanim's inauguration speech as head Dharma Master of One Buddhism USA, he said something that stopped my mind like a pin drop. And his words were, "Wherever you go, be the first Buddha in the room." And this is all the practice we need. What those words say is that when we believe that we are Buddha, that we do not expect the world or the room to adjust according to our judgments or preferences. We don't expect someone or some place to be the Buddha before we can respond in kind. We are naturally who we are. So my mother-in-law sent us a card for Christmas. I forgot to bring it to show you. But the card says, help a stranger, praise a child, light a candle, share your love, sing for joy, lend a hand, pray for peace, understand. So we need to understand. We need to understand that these words are not a prescription. They're not a directive. This is our nature calling to itself. So I'll end my talk today with one last story. And this is from the life of the Buddha. And the story has a profound effect on me. So I'm told that the Buddha didn't often give Dharma talks. But when he did, they raised a flag really high on a flagpole. So everyone near or far could come and hear the wisdom of the Buddha's words. So one day, thousands of people showed up for one of his talks. It's interesting. Thousands of people, no microphone. So the Buddha was silent. And without words, he put his hand in the pond next to him and pulled out a lotus flower and raised it high into the air. So in silence, each person received the same complete teaching, the same complete Dharma that day. However, only one smiled. His name was Mahakashapa, and he was the only one among the thousands that was able to receive the teaching, that mind-to-mind, heart-to-heart transmission. Why do you think this is so? So Mahakashapa, I think, it was because he believed. Yes, in his teacher, but beyond this, beyond the concept of transmission from here to there, or from Buddha to Mahakashapa, because he was Buddha. And there was no differentiation between himself and Buddha, or himself and the flower. So Mahakashapa became the next lineage holder after the Buddha passed away, but I don't believe Buddha gave him the lineage. Mahakashapa awakened to the truth and was the lineage. So, one more string of lights. I believe we are that deranged elf's or ordinary man's one more string of lights this year. And he did teach us something extraordinary. We are not our stories, not our labels, our thoughts, our failings, our successes. We are, wherever we are, in whatever season, the first Buddha in the room. And should we forget, should our belief waver, we can pause with respect and awe, and our true nature will be right there when we use our eyes, when we use our ears, when we use our noses, our tongues, our bodies, and when we use our minds. We are the light and the way, if only we believe. Thank you.